Hi, welcome to the part 2 of this video series. Here we are taking care of the AWS data analytics real exam questions. We will go through some of the very important questions and try to analyze. Please understand that all of my videos are focusing on how to arrive at the right answers. Okay, so you have to use common sense logic, understand the keywords, understand the story, and then we arrive at the right answer. Please subscribe to my channel. Please remember that motivates me to keep putting on some more contents which will help you clear the cloud certification exams. For questions 1 to 5, please refer parts 1 of this video series. Well, let's have a look at this question. You may pause this video to read it at leisure. So let's see the diagrammatic representation of the question. So what's happening is you have an S3 and you have a data lake which has set of folders, and each of the folder has data files based on the source system. So you have this S3, a data lake is on S3, and you're also pushing these data sets, these files, into a Redshift cluster. Now how you're pushing? You are firing a single, not a single copy command, but multiple copy commands, and all of these files, the data gets entered into one table in the Redshift cluster. So the problem statement here is, with this approach, loading all the data files in Redshift takes a long time to complete. Common sense. The first common sense here is, they are all files are loaded into one table, that is fine. But what are they doing? They're using a separate copy command for each data file location, which is bad. And if you are a doctor looking at the problems and the symptoms, you could gauge what is the root cause. So this is the root cause. What it is doing is using separate copy commands in Redshift. Always remember that. So why we have to this is a problem, because the copy command, you have to fire a single copy command. The best practice is fire a single copy command. Redshift will automatically, it will automatically spawn multiple threads to run these things in parallel. Okay, but what the question is doing, so here what they are doing is they are firing separate copy commands. So if you do a separate copy command, it will put everything in sequence and not in parallel. A single copy command will put all the requests, all the data file copy in parallel. But if you put separate copy commands, it will put it in sequence. That's the difference. It will put it in sequence, and if it is putting in sequence, unless first one finishes, second one don't start. Unless first two finishes, third doesn't start. And no doubt why the Redshift takes a long time to complete. Now you want to make it fast. How do you do it? Let's scan through the options. Option A, what it says is use EMR to copy all data files into one folder. Okay, so that is totally against the principle of segregation. Okay, so you already had the files segregated into multiple folders. Now you're saying that bring everything into one folder and then issue a copy command to load the data into Amazon Redshift. So that means we have to add one additional service, EMR. We have to add an EMR now, which is crap, because you are not supposed to increase the cost. You see this, the faster solution should come with little or no increase in cost. Here straight away EMR is bloody hell expensive. Okay, if you use EMR, it will increase your cost by many folds. So this is not the right option. Let's look at option B. So option B here, what it suggests is, this is a sarcastically intelligent solution. Okay, so we clearly know we don't have to increase the cost. Now what are they doing? They are putting Aurora and Glue to increase the cost. So now this is how the diagram would look like. Aurora would load the data from S3 into Aurora, and then Glue will be there. Glue will read the data from Aurora and put it in Redshift cluster. So what are you doing is you're adding two new services, Aurora and Glue. Both of them are not free. Since both of them are not free, it will increase your cost, and this is not a good option. Option B is wrong. Now let's look at option C. Okay, what it says is use glue, copy all the data files in one folder and issue one copy command to load it into Redshift. Again, it is still using glue. Okay, in the original problem you just had two services, S3 and Redshift, and you're using a copy command. Now you're trying to replace the copy command with glue. Glue is not a free service. It will increase the cost. That's why C is not correct. It is still expensive, though it is not as expensive as B and A, but it is still expensive. Let's look at D. This looks correct. What is a manifest file? So if you see this documentation, a manifest file is a text file in JSON format. And what it does is Amazon Redshift uses to connect to the host. It has SSH host endpoints information and the commands that are supposed to be executed on the host to return the data to Redshift. So it is just one single file JSON format. It will have all the data file locations as well as what commands to be executed and what are the endpoints, SSH host endpoints. So it clearly knows where to go, what to fire, and it will bring the data. And the beauty is it is just firing one command. Means one. It will just issue a copy command, and a copy command means even though the manifest file has different data file locations, it will all run in parallel. It will not go in sequence. Okay, please remember this. It will not go in sequence. Sequence makes it slow. Parallel makes it fast. Redshift is all about parallelism. So we will log this answer. D is the right answer, and we will move forward. Okay, now let's look at this question. So this is a question which is related to EMR, and at a high level the question is talking about blocking public access to the EMR clusters. So let's understand the story first. You have an S3 where you have all the files, and this is secured. It stores PII information. PII is personally identifiable information like your passport number, your Aadhaar card, your social security numbers, and so on. So it's like any number which can identify you is a PII. And then there are various analysts. They can spawn their EMR clusters, and these EMR clusters would use the data in S3 for analysis and further processing. The problem statement is you have to make these clusters secured. This is already secured. You see this, the data engineer has secured S3, but the individual EMR clusters created by analysts are exposed to public internet. So you do not want to expose to public internet with least amount of effort. So let's scan through the option. The first option, option A, it says to use EMR security configurations. You cannot use EMR security configuration to block public internet. You can use it primarily for encryption. If you see this documentation in here, it is primarily used to set encryption at S3, at local disk, in transit, or it is also used to set the Kerberos authentication. Hence A is wrong. Let's look at B. B looks correct. What you do is create a security group and do not allow inbound traffic from. So what does IPv4? So there are two sort of IPs, V4 and V6. V6 is the latest one. So if for V4 it's this 0.0, that means anybody can access from anywhere. It's open to public internet. Even IPv6, if it is /0, that means it is open to all. Anybody can access it. But if you are not allowing it, that means you are blocking the public internet traffic. So this looks correct, but it has two issues. First, what will happen is it will create a cluster. Okay, so the cluster is already created, and you are regularly going and checking if the security group has blocked the IPs 00 etc. like access from public internet. So this will not work when it is a compliance requirement. Compliance means it should not even happen even one time. It cannot happen. The number of occurrences should be zero. So if you allow this, then it may happen that the analyst may create it, and after 2 days you are saying you are reviewing it because the option says you are checking the security group of the EMR clusters regularly. So for 2 days it was allowing public traffic. The third day you checked and you told, okay guys, this is exposed to internet, let's secure it. So for 2 days it is out of compliance, which is wrong. It should never happen. So B is wrong. Whenever you talk about compliance, you should have such mechanism that nobody should be able to create the cluster which allows public access. This option, block public access, this looks correct. Why? You know what? It is perfect for helping you with the compliance. The cluster would not be created if if there is a rule that allows inbound traffic. It will not be created. So that is perfect. So you don't have to manually intervene. You don't have to manually monitor which analyst is doing what. So your data, the cluster itself will not be created. So for example, there is an analyst 3 and it is trying to create a EMR cluster, but since it doesn't satisfy the rule, the cluster is not launched and everything is secured. It will not even launch for 1 day, 2 day, etc. like option B was doing. That's why this is correct. Now the last one, it talks about WAF. WAF is not used to block internet, public internet. So I'll give you an example. So this is your EMR cluster that the analysts have spawned, and you plug WAF before that, and these are your users. So take the example. This user is cool. I mean, he does everything legal. He's just trying to normally access the data. He has access. He's a legal user. Everything is fine. No problem. WAF would allow him to go ahead. But this user, she is suspicious. She's spawning bot traffic. Why? Because she wants to spawn a million threads so that the EMR cluster goes down, the service goes down. Okay, these are all sort of hooligans who try to do that. Even for Amazon.com and other famous websites, they try to bring it down. WAF will identify the bot traffic, it will identify the pattern, and it will block it. Similarly, there are users. This a guy with a fat belly. He is firing SQL injections. Okay, so WAF identifies the pattern. It checks, okay, this is the pattern. This guy is firing injections, SQL injections, and it will block it. So that is the purpose of WAF. It didn't totally block the internet traffic. It did allow this guy to go in. WAF is not used to block the internet traffic in totality. That's why option D is not relevant for this question. So C is correct. We would lock this answer and move forward. Hi, let's look into question number 8. Please pause this video here if you want to read it in leisure. Let's first understand the story and then the pain point. So the story begins in 1980. You have a Redshift cluster and it has 3 nodes. These are storage nodes, not compute nodes. So these are dense nodes. Everything was perfect until one day one acquisition happens, and now post the acquisition you want to load the new companies, the whatever company you have acquired, you want to load that data into this Redshift. That data is 4 terabyte in size. Now what the company wants to do is it will have to adjust the cluster's capacity. So if this was able to handle total of 2 terabytes, these three clusters, now you have to adjust the capacity of these nodes so that it can handle 4 terabyte additional, total of suppose 6 terabytes. Obviously, since you're adding 4 terabytes, so these three nodes cannot do the job. So what are the options here? So the first thing, uh, one thing whenever you try to solve the question is try to uh, cut the clutter, just remove the clutter. So what is a clutter here? The clutter, we are clear, we need storage nodes, but still they have given two options with compute nodes. So this is clutter. We will remove A and B are wrong. We do not have to uh, adjust the compute nodes, we have to adjust the storage nodes. Okay, so A and B are gone. Now we are left with C and D, which can be correct here. So always remember a thumb rule I'm telling you. Whenever you get such question and there is no clarity as to which type of resize to use, always use elastic resize. Just go ahead directly with elastic resize, because classic resize it takes 2 hours, elastic resize it takes 15 minutes. Okay, it is fast, and that is recommended by AWS. So we will lock this answer and move forward. Question number 9. This question is related to Redshift. Okay, so you may pause this video here to read it carefully. First, let us understand the story behind it. So there is a Redshift cluster, and every morning there are huge loads, primarily on the business days, and new data comes in almost every few hours. So it is pretty busy database. So what happens is during the morning time the queries are queued and they take a long time to execute because it's a huge load. All the queries are in queue now till the queries that Redshift clusters are processing is wrapped up. Okay, now the pain point here is you have been asked to optimize the query execution without any downtime. Okay, it's not that you add a cluster, add some downtime and so on, or add a node, put a downtime. It's not acceptable, and we need a most cost effective solution. So if you see here the first one, this seems correct. What it's saying is enable concurrent scaling in the WLM queue. So whatever queue that you're seeing, no, these heavy loads, these are in the WLM queue, and when you set concurrent scaling, what it does is, suppose there are 4 queries in the queue and you set concurrent scaling and you're setting that these 2 queries should be processed concurrently. So everything will not wait in the queue. There will be concurrent processing started, and it will help you reduce the queue size. So A looks correct, but we will still inspect B, C and D. So option B is talking about adding nodes. So like I told you, it's we need a most cost effective solution. So adding nodes is not cost effective, so we will straight away discard it. And then this one says elasticsearch, sorry, elastic resize, and again it is adding nodes during peak time, which is not what we want because it is not the most cost effective solution. And let's see D. D is also not cost effective because it is talking about a new target cluster, and again it will increase the cost, so that's not our goal. So the only option which is, so A is the only option which is cheap compared to, or I would say most cost effective, because when we talk about cheap, people think this solution is cheap, that means it won't last long. So we would lock this answer and move forward. Let's look at this one. You may pause this video here. This is the last question for this part. So we will first try to understand the story here. The story is this way. You have a lot of CSV files. It is stored in S3, and then these get moved to Redshift for analysis, and the per day data can go up to 500. GB. So the ask is you improve the data loading performance. So option A, what it suggests is fire inserts. So when you're talking about 500 GB per day, inserts is definitely not the best way to put your data in Redshift. Okay, so it's saying to compress the CSV files and then insert. Crap, it will not work. 500 GB of data cannot be inserted via inserts. Option B, split large CSV and then use copy command. Seems logical. It's saying that if you have large files, if a large file is to be processed in Redshift, there will be one thread and it will keep on processing for like say 5 hours. Okay, the same stuff, you break this file into multiple small files and then Redshift starts you put a copy command. What will happen is you can create a manifest file and you can put the data file location, so each file will be processed parallelly. So these all three files, you see these arrows, these are getting processed in parallel. So the job which the file which was processing in 5 hours can take now 1 hour or 1.5 hours, because you bought parallelism to the loading process, and that is what you want. The solution should improve the data loading performance, and that is what we are doing. We are improving the performance. B seems absolutely correct, but let's see option C and D. So C says use Kinesis Firehose. Crap. Why I told that? Because Firehose is used for streaming data. If you see this, this may be IoT or something of that sort, and the data is continuously coming in, and then Firehose captures that data and can put it either in S3 or Redshift or Elasticsearch, Splunk, etc. Okay, so we do not have any streaming data coming in. The data is in S3. S3 is not a streaming source. IoT devices are streaming sources, or Event Hub, IoT Hub. If the data was coming from there, then you could have plugged Firehose. 10. Okay, so option D, it's saying you load the CSV files, but it doesn't say how, so we don't know how to load it. Assuming a copy command maybe, and then it says to put a vacuum, the whichever table it gets in, you vacuum the table. So what it means is it will not sort it, it will load it unsorted. Okay, it will take 2 pegs of alcohol and put the data as it is. Okay, because alcoholic people, they do not work much, so they've put the data as it is, and then they rely on the vacuum function of Redshift to sort the data. So this is definitely, it will not improve the performance. If you're going to put 5 GB data per day unsorted, and then you are asking Redshift's vacuum function to sort it, that is not an efficient way to do it. It will not improve your loading performance. See, the load is fast in this case, but the data is crap because it's unsorted. So now you have to apply a vacuum. So unless the entire vacuum operation finishes, the data is not like for a like. If I gave you 2 apples, you should be receiving 2 apples at your home. It should not happen that you receive, for example, I gave you one crate of beer. It should not happen that you receive 2 crate today and then 2 crate to 2 bottles tomorrow, 2 bottles today, 2 bottles day after, and the data is not readable. So it's not, if I have delivered 1 crate of beer, you should get 1 crate packed. You should not get it in splits. So this is the way. If there was a CSV file, you're putting it unsorted, and then you're saying, boss, you can take those two beer bottles and put it into the crate whenever you receive it. But that is not the ideal way of doing it. So that is not a professional way of doing it. We will lock our answer. Option B is the right answer. So this brings us to the end of part 2. I'll be putting many more such parts. So please subscribe to my channel, and if you have any constructive comments or feedback, please drop in your comments. See you in the next part.